with Liliana. We are going to talk about the structure of withholding tax, the labor payments, those payments that are not paid in money, but with other things to the employees, and how to take care of them. And we might have a little time to talk about the self-employment payments when you are a contractor, and that on the impacts on the withholding tax on that. Okay, so we are moving to this part, and this is very important because you need to understand first what is part of your salary and what is not part of your salary, and what is the impact on that in two regards. One, in relationship with your income, and two, in relationship with the payments that the company makes to the social security entities. Okay, so and starting with that, first we have fixed payments that the company makes to the employee, and these payments that are more flexible of that change every month. So these fixed payments that are salary is that everything that the employee gets paid, payments in cash, which are not very common. And this point that I have here, that it was highlighted by Liliana, are the payments that are in woods, or that are not being part of the salary because the company makes an agreement and that has a limit of 50 and 30%. I'm going to explain that a little bit further. So, when you have a salary that is the minimum wage, which at the moment, let's say that is, I'm just gonna give an example. It is 1 million. If the employee makes that minimum wage, then the part, this 30%, so that's 300,000 pesos, can be excluded from the payment of the Social Security, but you have to have an agreement with the employee. The same with salaries that are above the minimum wage. You can agree with the employee to pay that amount, that 50%, with woods or in another way. And then the company doesn't have to contribute to the whole Social Security. But all of these needs to be documented, and it needs to be informed and report to the employee. All the bonuses and regular bonuses are part of the salary. How do you say that? The not fixed part of the salary is everything that is over time, the percentage of commissions on sales, or other type of commissions that you pay to the employee. Please take into account that even though the salary could be divided into fixed and variable, all of these will be part of your income. Super important to take that into account. Okay, and what is not can be just like different from the salary. And in this regard, it is very important to understand that this that is not part of the salary has a different treatment, mostly for the company, not for the employee, for the company in the Social Security payments. Because we want to emphasize that even though these amounts are not part of your salary, they will be part of your income. So super important. So occasional payments, occasional bonus, we call them occasionally because you get paid these payments just once a year. Profit sharing, other bonuses, food and clothing. In these topics, food and clothing, one of the questions that the audience asked when we were in the conference in Spanish was like, okay, if you are a manager and you get all these supplies, the jackets of stationery items, something like that, that is to promote the company, is that gonna be part of your income? No, because all these items are meant to promote the company and are given to everybody, and those will be expenses that the company could deduct, so that's not going to be part of your income, thankfully. And other expenses that are not going to be part of your salary is like what we call representation expenses. That is almost that means like all these invitations to clients that are restaurants, all the means of transportation, work elements, and allowances that are especially for the traveling expenses or the caring for clients. What will be important in this regard is that you have all the documents of these expenses on the name of the company. You know, that is the tax ID and the tax ID, the name of the company, and that we have the electronic invoicing to support these expenses. So that's super important for the company, okay? So moving on, this is related to the payments for food, but I'm going to explain it further in the next slide, so I'm not gonna stop here. Okay. So here, the withholding takes place are part of the calculation, and then what will be part. So let's think of it like a circle, like a pie, and then that's your income, and then you have this pie that you can't exclude from your income to go to the number that is going to be the number in which you will calculate this percentage of the withholding tax. And the withholding tax increases or decreases depending on how much money you make, and we are going to take a look at that chart in a moment. But what will you take into account? All the payments that I already mentioned that are salary, the payments that you have agreed on that are not part of your salary, incapacities, work accidents, or compensations for sickness day. All of that will be part of the income, but it will be deducted further down in these how do you call it, in this line of like your income and all the different deductions, and the reimbursements of expenses that which I mentioned that you are using to promote the sales of your company or just for some learning experiences abroad. All of that won't be part of your income, okay? But again, all of these have to be documented, and all these expenses have to be on the name of the company. So here we have something super important, and I just really want you to, we're going to send some hangouts with like a Excel spreadsheet that you can use. I'm going to make sure that we send it in English as well, in which we have this, which is called rangos de VT. The UVT are tax units. So every year the DIAN gives a value to these tax units, and it changes every year, and the number is public, so you can just go back and say like what was the tax unit in 2022, in 2021. So that's the way we make these calculations, because the DIAN always publishes things in the tax unit, and we make this conversion and all the calculation, which are sometimes very complicated and challenging. We actually wish it was not this complicated. So what is important to know, that if the employee his salary is below 4 million, there is not withholding tax. We still have to do all the analysis, we still have to document it, but it will not be withholding tax. If the salary is between 4 and 6 million, and between all these brackets that are here, 6 and 15, 15 and 26, 26 and 39, then the withholding will be increasing. Super important. This percentage does not apply to your salary or your income. This percentage is applied to the bottom line of the calculation that we are going to study. So it's not, this percentage is not applied to the top line of your income, of the total or your income, but it's going to be applied to the bottom line after we deduct or subtract all the topics that I'm going to explain through our conference, okay? So here, I just really wanted to have this in Spanish, but I'm going to explain each topic one by one in English, but I really want you to get familiar to the word in Spanish and the concept in English, because sometimes it's difficult to translate all these names that the tax authority uses in Spanish and to understand what the concept is in English. So that's why I keep it like this. So salary, salarios, commissions, prestaciones, viáticos, like all the traveling expenses, all the additional payments that you get paid for other services that you provide to the company or your own income. So we have had the case of some employees that do not only have their income as employees of the company, but you also have your income, other sources of income. So please report this to your employer, let them know, so they will have like an overall or a little bit more knowledgeable information about your income. So in case that they have to increase your withholding, and then when the payment comes to the tax authority, you don't have to take money out of your pocket. You have already been withheld. So that kind of like made your cash flow more like even through the year, and then when you have to report your taxes, you don't have to pay more. So that's why this am I pointing out this here. So this aporte obligatorio de pensiones is what the company pays on your behalf for your pension. This point is very important for foreign employees, because when foreign employees have a pension fund overseas, the law allows you not to pay the pension here. So no, the employee and the company don't have to make this payment of the pension in Colombia, because maybe you are I don't know, executive or a foreign employee of your entity that are not gonna be here maybe longer than 5 years. I don't know, maybe it's not your whole life that you're gonna be here, so you prefer to pay your pension in your home country. So what you need to do here is to provide the certificate of this pension fund and communicate your plans to the company, and they will do the study for not to deduct this from your salary, and then the company doesn't have to pay it. So that's super important. This payment to the Fondo de Solidaridad Pensional, like a solidarity, I don't know how to say that really well, that concept in English, solidarity pension fund, is kind of like an extra percentage that you pay when you pass the threshold of 5 million. So when the employee pass the threshold of 5 million, the payment to is like an extra payment to this type of entities, and that could be deducted as well. There is a voluntary payment to the pension entities that will increase your pension, and that will be part of these deductions that are called like income not to be subject for taxes. That's what this long name means, which I'm not going to say in Spanish because it's kind of complicated. Then you have the deductions. Then you have it's called exempt payments that you don't have to pay. They can be deducted in this amount from your income. And after that, so let me just go back here. You have the amount in which you are going to calculate your withholding tax, and then you have your withholding tax. How do you say that? Base. So all of these, I'm not gonna mention each detail right now. I'm gonna go back to this slide, but I'm going to treat every bracket independently. So that's why I'm going to move on, and because of the time as well. So let me move to the next slide. Okay, so here we have the long name that I said, which is the first bracket, income tax that does not constitute income of occasional gain. So here, what we really want to focus on is that for the voluntary contributions to the pension, there is a limit, and that limit is 24% of the income tax, which is 106 million. And as I said, it is very important not to plan this individually. It could be a plan for your company, so that's why it's important to have an expert advising you on the company in this regard. The health contributions, the pension contribution are unlimited, and I said this is a special contribution, and it starts in 1%. Okay. So here we have the math of the same concepts. So I'm not going to stop on this slide. And so some tips, we're going to move quickly on the tips that we can use to decrease your net income. So your withholding tax is gonna be less on a monthly basis, so your cash flow will increase. So which is the purpose of our conversation today. So super important, these food payments, you can use them to reduce your income, which is going to be the base for the withholding tax. This could be something that we call in Colombia, maybe this is used internationally, so the exo payments. So the company can give you a card, and you can use that card to buy food, to go to restaurants, to go to the supermarkets, and this has to be the max that you can use is 1,727,000. That's something that is very useful, but this should be planned with your employer so that you can tell them, look, I just want to give me this money in this card. It's more like company policy, I would say. Then you have the deductions of your dependents. We are going to go further into know who are the dependents, but the limit is 10% of your income. So you have to have kind of like two limits. One, depending on your income, and the other one, this threshold, which is 32 UVTs, which are 1,342,000. Super important that the interest paid in mortgages. I'm going to explain that further in another slides, and the payments to medical insurance. So those are 4 super interesting things that you can use to reduce your withholding tax. Okay. Here again, we have the limits for food, payments to health payments, house interest, and dependents, and we have the monthly limits and the annual limits here on that regard. I don't know, Andrea, if you want to mention something.
No, we're okay.
Okay, good. I'm trying to go fast, so we kind of like stay on the time schedule. Okay. So next, here we have the deductions, which we're going to speak further. Okay. So super important here, the economic dependent. Who could be my dependents, or who could be your dependents? So children up to 18 years old, but then you can make it longer to 23 years old, depending on if you have your children going to the university. You have to show a document to your company who is calculating your withholding tax, so they will know and have a proper document in this regard. Your spouse or permanent partner. These titles of spouse or permanent partner are under the Colombian law valid. And again, you have to show a document that really, how do you say that, is a proof of this title. And something that I find very interesting is that if you have dependents, could be your brother or your parents, and they have income less than 260 UVTs, which are like roughly 8,620,000 pesos, then they could be part of this world of your dependents. But again, take into account that it could not be more than this 10% of your total income, okay? But you can use all of them. Maybe you only have your parents, maybe you only have your children, maybe you only have your spouse. So you have to think of it. And a key point that we want to share is that it's super important to plan as a family, because maybe your spouse could take some of the dependents, or you can take some of the dependents on your income tax. So please always think of a family, and this planning is super important to do it as family. So hold on, let me just close this up. Sorry. Here, this is related to the interest paid on home purchases. So this interest is very important for young workers, because maybe young workers don't have dependents, or they are not very interested in paying for their pension, but they are thinking of buying their new house. So the interest helps you to reduce your withholding tax, and you can take up to 50 million annually, 4 million in monthly basis. So this is a very special contribution for your young people that you can really take into account. Here, this is going to the third element of the chart that I just mentioned to you. And these are what would be interesting from this chart from you. In Colombia, we don't have 12 monthly payments. We have 14 monthly payments. One is an extra payment on the middle of the year that is at the end of the year. So it's just one extra salary that you divide, half in the middle of the year, half at the end of the year, and that is called prima. Then you have the cesantías. Well, the cesantías is an exemption of these payments, so you have to how do you say that, take it off of your total income. That is important. And something important here that is just another strategy that you can use is to just make there is a special savings account called AFC, and this account, when you put money in this account, the entity don't withhold, your company don't withhold anything from you, and then from that account directly to your lease or to your mortgage, you can make the payments. So you kind of like double save on your taxes if you use this strategy. That is important. And then all the compensations related to illness, to maternity, to, for example, some labor income that you get because somebody in your family sadly died. Those that income won't be part of this income that is taxable for the purpose of the withholding tax. So super interesting that part. So this is just saying that there is a limit for all these payments that are not being taken into account in the calculation. This procedure 1, and I think the procedure 2, I'm just going to focus here because it is important for you to know that we as accountants or tax advisors, the law allows us to have 2 procedures to calculate your withholding tax. So it is important that you ask your company, look, let me know the procedures that you use. The end result, the bottom line reserve of the withholding is the same. What changes is the cash flow. So it's important that you ask your employer what is the best procedure to use. So I'm not gonna go into the detail of these 2 slides because it's kind of like explain each concept one by one. So I'm not gonna stop on that because we have short time. So here, this topic that is called viáticos, or are your traveling expenses that you use for the purpose of finding clients. It is important to discuss with your employer which one are going to be like permanent, that would be like monthly based payments for those purposes, or what will be like once in a while. And depending if they are permanent or if they are once in a while, the impact on your withholding tax are different. So that's a very important topic that you should focus on. This is again the severance indemnity and the bonuses. Again, the bonuses will be part of your income. The company is going to withhold on them. So which we want to point out in the topic of the bonuses is that it will be beneficial for the business that, and for yourself again, not to pay all the Social Security in this bonus if the agreement with the company is that they are not part of your salary. This is again the bonuses that are part of these benefit that are related to the goals, that if they are a contractual obligation, or if they have, or if you have signed an agreement in which they are not part of your salary, then they won't pay Social Security. That's what we want to point out here. Okay, this is all the payments that you get paid that are not paid directly in money, but in other words. So you have to analyze them. You have to give them a fair value. They will be part of your income, and that will be part of your withholding tax as well. So this, again, the company and yourself have to think of each one and make sure that the correct taxes are paid on them and the ones that are going to be part of your own income as well. This is very interesting because when you are self-employed, the rates are different. So this, you, instead of having all this chart of being withheld as an employee of a company on all these analysis, the rates are different. So for services are 4%. For depending if you are selling things or if you're using your knowledge, for knowledge will be 11 or 10% depending on the services that you are providing to the company as a contractor. So this is a very important topic that you really need to analyze. So there are some thresholds here, and that's why you come to an 11% rate when you go over the 3,300 UVTs. So again, you need to analyze this together with the income if you are an employee and a contractor at the same time, or if you are only a contractor, you really need to analyze this information. So again, this is the same information for the self-employed. If you are self-employed, what is important to take into account here is that there is a limitation on 11 million pesos, in which you kind of like have a different treatment before and after the threshold. So please take into account that. So that was a very quick explanation that we wanted to share with you. This video is going to be sent to you all. Please, if you have any questions in all these regards, and if you want an individual, what we're doing with our individual taxpayers is that we're kind of like analyzing their information for 2023, making sure we do some planning of, we only have 2 months left, November and December. So we do all the planning. We kind of like support you before you have closed your income on for the year 2023, for the payment that you're gonna do on 2024, or if for your company you need any advice, we're very happy to help. Thank you for having us this morning. And then Andrea, please go ahead, and thank you for Liliana, because this is part of all the knowledge that we have built within our firm.
Yeah, we actually have one question, but this one is in Spanish.
Okay.
So,
please go ahead. Estamos acá bilingües, Andrea. We are very bilingual in this presentation, so we can for sure answer that question.
Ok, un proveedor que es una persona natural nos presta servicios. Él dice que puede pasar una carta certificada por un contador, que no todos los que él cobra son ingresos, sino son compras de herramientas. Esto para que no le dé la base para calcular rete fuente. ¿Esto se puede?
Okay, so I think we are going to go step by step in that question.
Puedes ver la pregunta en la parte de preguntas en tu Zoom.
Okay.
La última de Janet Bolívar.
Okay, hold on. Déjame ver. No sé si tú entendiste, es que estaba como un poco larga la pregunta.
Yo lo que entiendo es que una empresa tiene un proveedor que les presta servicios como persona natural, pero lo que él quiere es como para disminuir el valor de, digamos, del servicio, quiere como a través de una certificación de un contador que no todo el valor que le pagan constituya ingresos, sino que una parte sea como insumos o herramientas para prestar el servicio. Pues es que yo pienso que eso todo depende de qué clase de servicios se esté prestando. Porque si yo estoy prestando un servicio, no sé, el servicio de, viene el señor, me hace una reparación locativa, y yo le suministro los insumos que él necesita para hacer esa reparación, pues yo solamente le estoy pagando por digamos, la prestación del servicio propiamente dicha. Yo creo que depende, o si ella nos puede explicar un poquito más exactamente a qué hace referencia o a qué clase de servicio presta el proveedor.
O yo
Porque a mí me
diría ahí
parece
también.
que, perdóname, a mí me parece que, digamos, que eso no se podría manejar así. Digamos que la finalidad es mejor dicho, yo a una persona natural que le voy a pagar o unos honorarios o unos servicios generales, dependiendo, para disminuir la base, para la retención de la fuente, yo no la disminuyo con los costos y los gastos asociados.
Yo creo que una estrategia que podría utilizar ahí el proveedor, Janet, es que esa factura de herramientas que digamos que el prestador de servicio está diciendo que utiliza para prestar el servicio, estuviera a nombre de la empresa. ¿cierto? Entonces, por ejemplo, digamos que yo le voy a prestar un servicio y necesito herramientas para Holland House. Entonces, yo le digo a mi proveedor, oiga, las herramientas factúreselas directamente a Holland House, porque finalmente la utilización de esas herramientas no la estoy haciendo yo, X Cardoso, sino se están haciendo para el proyecto de Holland House. Entonces, ese costo queda a nombre de Holland House, y si el flujo de caja sale de Globalgaap o de Becky, entonces digamos que yo le pido el reembolso de costos y gastos a Holland House, pero con la factura que fue emitida a nombre de Holland House. Digamos que la diferencia, que es como mi trabajo, mi mano de obra y demás, esa sí sería la que me certifica el contador, y que pues sí podría definitivamente en esa estructura disminuir la base de la retención en la fuente. Yo creo que sería como una opción para manejarlo, y que pues está de acuerdo con las normas tributarias, ¿vale? Yo creo que
Dependiendo
sería
del servicio, dependiendo del servicio. Digamos que
dependiendo
ahí
del
sí,
servicio,
sí,
sí.
eso sí
La
es importante.
tarifa depende del servicio.
Ujú,
Exactamente.
exacto.
Bueno, yo creo que sería eso.
Sí.
Andrea,
Entonces, esas son todas las
muchísimas
preguntas que tenemos.
gracias.
Muchas gracias a ustedes dos, Becky, y a todas las personas que se quedaron, que participaron, y esperamos contar con ustedes para próximos eventos y que tengan un feliz día. Muchas gracias a
Súper.
todos.
Gracias,
Gracias, Andrea.
igualmente.
Hasta luego.
Feliz día.
Feliz día.